Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Communications from Home, my weekly evening live stream show right here on Star Nations Organization on Facebook. And so welcome, everybody. So good to have you here in the live chat with me, both here at Facebook and also at YouTube. I know we get to simulcast now, and how fun that's been. So welcome, everybody that's coming over to join us from YouTube. Good to have you here. So tonight is all about the newest book that Star Nations Publishing has just published. And if you are really interested in learning more or deepening your connection, your understanding of integrating ancient truths into the modern world, then you're going to like The Key of Life by the newest author here at Star Nations, Ortrun Franklin. And let me tell you just a little bit about the book, okay? It is a compilation of the articles that Ortrun has written for Star Nations magazine. She has been a contributing writer for the magazine since 2013. I know, it's been a long time. And so we went through all of the articles, and we found the common theme, which we kind of already knew was going to be about the Egyptian mysteries. And so what she does is she gently leads you into discovering who you truly are. She shares her glimpses of her personal life experiences and how to connect with spirit through meditation and intertwining ancient truths into daily life. And that is about the book. But you know what? So many of us know Ortrun here at Star Nations. She is one of our elders here in our community. And for those of you who might not know Ortrun, you might want to sit back and listen just a little bit to her bio, because I'm actually going to share with you what we have shared with others, because many people don't realize part of her background. Okay, so you know that Ortrun has led a really an extraordinary life, because she started out in her childhood in Germany. And actually, she was born in Yugoslavia. Lots of people don't know that. During World War II, she and her family fled the Russians when she was 2 months old. And she, so what we read about this is she harbored death by age 6 months, became a displaced person, crossed the Atlantic Ocean to America, and adjusted to a different language and a different culture here in America. Losing her father at age 14, some people don't realize that happened to her, caused her to question what life was all about at such a young age. She retreated to her church, where she experienced solace while in prayer. Meditation came easy for her. And I have to tell you that if you've ever experienced one of Ortrun's guided meditations, you can tell, you can feel it, that experience that she has with it. She recognized that meditation was her way of life. She began teaching and leading meditation. Her melodic voice brought about peace, harmony, and a sense of at oneness for those listening, and I can attest to that. Soon she became a sought-after voice to set the tone for conferences and seminars throughout North America. Her meditation CDs are utilized throughout the world. Her thirst for knowledge led her to undertake many disciplines and studies, books on sacred texts and rituals, and most notably the writing of Hamid Bey, a 7-ring master of the Coptic mystery schools. Ortrun is an ordained Coptic minister since 1978. Experiencing Egypt further deepened her desire to understand the mysteries. She founded Key of Life, the mystery school, in 2011. She instructs seekers about the path of the mystery schools and assists individuals on their ascension path as a meditation practitioner, chakra blockage clearing practitioner, intuitive spiritual coach, and disembodied spirit emissary. She is also, as I shared with you earlier, a contributing writer for the Star Nations magazine, but she is also a co-host for a live stream show, Living in Two Worlds. And I tell you what, she's a busy lady. She's a busy lady. And so I want to bring her on, now that you know a little bit about Ortrun, our newest author here at Star Nations Publishing. Ortrun, come on in. Well, hi there.
Hi,
Welcome.
everyone. So wonderful to be with you, Neshi, and everyone else that's here with us in the chat room, and whoever will be tuning in later, maybe, right? So
Great, exactly.
really good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I want to thank you for making time for us this evening to chat about your brand new book and about your journey there as a published author. And every time I say that, I just smile because, you know, Ortrun and I have been on this journey together to get her book published for over a year. And so why don't we say hi to a couple people that are in the live chat with us.
Okay.
Before we get rolling, Rochelle's here. Hello, Rochelle.
Hello, Rochelle. Good to see you.
It's good to have you here. Of course, Rob's here. He's our producer.
Yes. Thank you, Rob.
There. Barbie's here too. Hello, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Good to have you.
See you here.
Yeah, and this is Rob also making a comment from YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. From Facebook. And so, you know, and some of the people that are in the live chat tonight with us are people who studied with you, right?
That's wonderful. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I certainly recognize.
Yeah. So, you know, Ortrun, one of the things that I would like people, well, first of all, I'm going to do this. Oops. This is the proof copy of the book. Both of us have a copy.
Yeah.
Even after how many rounds of edits and edits and edits that we did, we had this was our last round of edits was with the proof copy. And I wanted everybody to see the book. I have to say that when I received my copy and I pulled it out, you know, this is such an extraordinary moment, because I know all the energy that went into this book, and to hold it in my hands and say, we did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. How did you feel when you took your copy out?
Well, I really loved it. I felt, and I thought, I said to Carl, I said, this book really, it feels good. It has a good vibration. It felt very, very, very good to me. Yeah. So, and I know my husband, Carl, he certainly has enjoyed the book. He helped read some of these parts of the book, and he actually said he said he was sad to see it finished because he enjoyed reading it so much. And he said you can really feel it's coming from the heart. And there are a few times he actually walked out. He had tears in his eyes when he was when he was reading certain things, you know, in there. So that was quite meaningful to me, because I just really didn't think that it would go over that way with him. So, because he's usually not that emotional. He doesn't show his emotions much. So that was really a wonderful experience to have him show that. And then, yeah, so that was really nice. But other people too, even people that are not into metaphysics, we just sold our condo, and the person that was representing the buyer, she was at our home, and I showed her the book, and she took it too, and she says, is this the cover? And I said, yes. I said, I'm sure this is the cover. It's just, it feels so good, she said. And she find 2 books, which is very interesting, because she's not even a metaphysician. She just knows me from this purchase, you know, her being part of the purchase or the sale of the house.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, I think that there's 2 different things that are going on there. Is that, yes, the book, when I first pulled it out, and I've had, you know, both of our husbands read the manuscript before it was actually published, right? And so the book has a certain vibration to it that feels so good. But it's also, I think, in the printing of it, what we did was we chose a matte cover rather than a gloss cover. And just the feeling of the texture of the book feels good. And Paul actually noticed that too. 'Cause after our show last Friday on the launch party, I went home and I was unpacking my backpack and I had it laying on the dining room table and he picked it up and he goes, I still really, this is one of my favorite covers of a book. And then he said, and it feels good. I said, you mean you like the vibration? He goes, no, I like the feel of the paper.
Uh-huh.
Feel of the paper.
It's really interesting in how that is. But there's something about that, just having that kind of a texture. There's something. It actually makes it feel almost like it's a suede.
Yeah,
That's not the texture of the cover of the book. But that feels good. But there's something that also makes it feel good inside when you're touching that also. So it isn't just because of the cover. There's just a whole. It's very interesting. Now I know that we sound a little prejudiced here, don't we?
Yeah, I am partial.
We have spent lots of time with it, but truly the intent of the book is to help individuals tap into their higher essences and to recognize what great beings of light and love that they are. So it's coming from the heart. Writing it, and even when I was reading it, and as a matter of fact, it was my massage therapist. I was talking to her about it. She says, if I did that, I'd be so excited. And I was like, sort of not really elating as much. And
Yeah.
I said, well, I am excited, but I said, there's a vulnerability here for me because what I'm doing here is I'm truly opening myself. What I'm sharing in the book is my path, and it's things that I experienced in my life and my circumstances that helped me to grow and to become. It's that if you want to say in Egyptian way, I call it the sakara, because the sa, and the outer it means amulet, but it means the physical. So it's like the physical sun, the S-O-N, and the ka then takes you into that part of your soul. It connects that with your soul, and then the Ra connects you with the divine. So it's a progression, and Sakara is very important to me, and that is where the Atlanteans brought their teachings. That's where and it's the oldest. The Saqqara pyramid is actually the oldest pyramid in Egypt, and that is where the Atlanteans brought the teachings of the ancient ones, these truths, because they felt that this is where it was meant to be. The reason why they brought it to Egypt is because Egypt is very much a balanced land. Now, even with speaking about this land, there is the outer land and the inner land. So it's always outer and inner. Everything is always in and out. So you're looking at different levels of awareness and consciousness, even by looking at the country itself. So, and you are the representation of that country. So if you're seeing in hieroglyphs a story about those that lived upon the land, it tells stories of what was going on, and they might be doing some of their work and gathering their grain and things of that sort. But if you go beyond that, there's a deeper meaning, a meaning that is more what's going on within you, because anything that's going on out here is also going on within each and every one of us. And so, but the book has you connect the outer with the inner so that you can have the understanding, the outer understanding with the inner knowing.
Right. And see, and this is one of the things that that really was the epicenter, if you want to call it that, the idea of creating this book, because through your articles for the magazine, because all the entire book, almost everything that Ortrun wrote for the book, she wrote as an article. Now here's the thing, is that Ortrun wrote a little bit more because she wanted to connect certain things together and to literally lead us on the path that she's talking about right now in the book, and wanted to have it be very apparent that the reader was going on a journey and understanding their journey. And so when you say that there's a vulnerability in the shine, that you started that with your articles and leading us in guided meditations, because I would say probably a good 95%, if not higher, your articles all have a guided meditation.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that was, I'm okay, guys, our audience. This is a little peek behind the curtain, so to speak. Is that gathering all of these articles from 2013 to 2019, and then gathering all of the MP3s for the meditations. That took us a good month, if not longer, to gather, right? And then it wasn't just gathering by title, it was the literal getting the article put into a file that Ortrun could access all of them and read through all of them to make that selection. And listening to, I re-listened to, I don't know how many of the meditations, it was quite a process in the beginning because Ortrun, I think that as you became more comfortable with the writing for the magazine, you started writing longer articles, right?
That's true. Originally, when we first started, I think I approached you about doing a meditation for the magazine. And so that was the first idea that came into the magazine. And so there was a very, very short article, just a description of this meditation that I was leading. So that's how it started. But then, as you mentioned, yes, and I'm sure it's because I became more comfortable with myself and expressing myself that the articles did become longer and longer. And not that long, though. They're not overwhelmingly long. No. They're easy to read, I think. Don't you think, Neshi?
Yeah, because that's one of the parameters for a contributing writer is that the articles are from 900 to 1,200 words for a standard article. Featured articles are a bit longer. Those are 1,500 words. But Ortrun you're always right around 1,000 to 1,100 words, something like that. So.
But as I mentioned, the vulnerability of it, because this was my path. This is what, and to just open myself up to see how I gained my higher awareness and my higher consciousness. What really made me tick inside. That's the part that I felt a little bit self-conscious about right at first. And that's why when my friend said, oh, I'd be so excited. And I'm like a little nervous. But it's all good, it's all growth. It's all growth. We have our own ways of growing and becoming, and this is apparently something that I was meant to do. I certainly never thought I was going to write a book. Well, I shouldn't. It's interesting because I look back and I remember always having this visual about a book, and all it was called was Ortrun. From when I was very young, but that was nothing. I never thought that would be anything that would actually come into fruition. And I never felt that I was that good of a writer because I didn't really know the English language as well as most. I didn't feel. I mean, everyone that ever read anything of mine liked it. But even in school, because I never started speaking English until I was in third grade. And so I felt that I just didn't have the vocabulary, like other people that grew up with the surrounding of having English spoken all of their lives. And it seemed like other people, when they wrote, it'd be so, I called it flowery. They had lots of adjectives. And mine was a little bit more boxy. Yeah. And I was a systems analyst. And I think in some ways, when you look at the book, you can sort of see that too, because I'm quite structured when I lay things out and how to do things. But as I grew, I added a few more adjectives here and there.
Well, here is something I think that some people may not know about you. And as a writer, it does take a bit of time, a bit of experience to really find your own voice.
Mhm.
Your own voice. And I think that your voice really started coming out when you made that shift between, your meditations are great. I love them. But when you made that leap between just offering the meditation, and then you started writing more about your experiences with what you were offering to people,
Yeah.
is when your voice really started to come out. And um, because I read everybody's article multiple times before we publish a magazine. And so, that's one of the things that I've learned over the years is that our writers, um, when they find their own voice, there's an alchemy, there's a magic to it, and you can certainly feel it. You can certainly feel it in your articles. So we have, in fact, in our live chat, I'm seeing who's all here, is that we have many people here that have read your articles, and they could probably attest to it. Clara's here. Hi, Clara. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. And Pat's here too. Hi, Pat.
Hi, Pat.
And Violet. Oh my goodness, Violet's
Hi,
here.
Violet.
Yay. Yay. It's good to have you ladies in the house.
Yeah.
And so here's, before I forget, because I get so excited about, especially talking about your book, is that if I could ask those that are in the live audience, if you could do me a favor and and if you know somebody who would be interested in the kind of information that Ortrun shares, if you could please send the live stream over to them, that would really be helpful. Because here's the thing, is that Ortrun we're running a special. It's called an author signed book special. And we're running it from August 12th to September 12th. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring Ortrun on the show to be with me, so that those people who may not know who Ortrun is, they get to meet her and get to understand why she would even spend the time, the energy in bringing this book and onto the earth plane, right? And pulling all together all those articles. In fact, I don't know if you remember this, Ortrun. I think it was. I remember it was in the wintertime, because you had said something to me. It's going to be cold out. I'm going to be spending more time inside so I can read all these articles. I think it was like January or February or something like that. And when you contacted me and you said, "Oh my God, I didn't know there were so many."
No, it was many. It was definitely, there were many. So
Well, you're just writing them, but seeing them all in one folder and all of the titles,
yes.
Yeah, it was a little overwhelming because we had to whittle it down so that it was yeah. It's good though. It was a good journey. It really was.
It really was.
Yeah.
No,
For you, was it? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, the other thing that's a little bit different about this book is that it has different parts to it, because there's an article in it. There is a meditation that can go along with almost every article. There's very few in here in the book that do not have a guided visualization with it. But then Neshi then went on to do even more with the book. What she did then is that if you finished reading the articles and you really weren't interested in reading the articles again and doing that combination of those two steps, and you wanted to just continue listening to the meditations, you can do that, because she put an appendix at the back of the book, which has the every single meditation that goes along with these different chapters. So you can easily get to them. You don't have to dig through the book. And that was I think quite a journey too.
Yeah.
To do that.
And that's where I re-listened to so many of the meditations, because we wanted to make sure that we got them in the right place, number one. And number two is that I wanted to do it. I wanted to have that experience again, right? So there's a couple things I want to share with our audience before we get too far down the road. And that is, number one, we have a giveaway this evening. We're giving away 2 of the books tonight to somebody in the live chat. And it will be an author signed book. So Ortrun will sign the book and will get shipped to you. Now, this is taking about 3, maybe 4 weeks for that to happen. So, know it's coming. It's on its way. But we're going to select two people. Actually, I'm going to ask Rob if he could do a random selection for us closer to the end of the show, and then we'll get those announced. And the other thing that we have for you this evening, and I'm so glad she said yes, because I kind of sprung it on her, is Ortrun. I asked Ortrun if she could do a short reading from the book, and I asked her if she could read what she wrote about the book. And literally, that's what it's called, about this book. And Ortrun, if you wouldn't mind doing that right now, so that people will understand a little bit more about the background of the book.
Okay, so I'm reading the chapter about the book, right? About this book. Okay.
About this book. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it says, "Hello, dear friend. We are spiritual beings housed in a human body, living upon planet Earth. My hope is that as you engage in the material in this book, it will activate a remembering of who you truly are. My sacred prayer for you is to find love, peace, and joy in your world. Each article in this book is based on my own path or paths, experiences, and levels of understanding. To more fully enhance your experience while using this book, I have included a guided meditation/visualization after each article. Here are a few suggestions on how to use this book. Number 1, reading the article will stimulate your mind. Number 2, reading the article and listening to the meditation will reach both your mind and your heart. Once heart and mind are connected, along with intention and focus, divine mind is easier to reach. And number 3, once you have done the above steps, you can enhance your growth by listening to the meditations in the appendix at any time you desire. This will help you to attain greater understanding and reach higher and higher levels of awareness. Of course, the choice is yours as how you utilize this material. Be attentive as you engage in this material. Bits of ma'at, or truth, will be whispered to you from the higher realms. You will be uplifted to universal levels of understanding. Heaven and earth will unite as one in you. Plus, love, peace, harmony, and joy will become the norm in your life. You will soar. Blessings on your journey, Ortrun."
I just love that piece. This is one of the pieces that Ortrun actually added. I can't even tell you what part that was, but we were going over the manuscript, and you said, I remember you telling me that we need something that brings the whole thing together. Let me see if I can write something for that, and you did, and it literally is a letter to the reader, right?
Yes, it's my special letter coming from my heart to going to your heart and intertwining.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. And as I mentioned, there are so many different aspects to this book. As I mentioned, article, guided visualization, and then with Neshi adding that appendix.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing I want to mention about the book is I'm going to say there are probably 3 main sections of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And Neshi mentioned that about meditation, and meditation is really, that was my base. That's where I started. I remember when I was part of Coptics, became part of Coptics, I remember John Davis saying, says, just learn a specialty. And I thought, what in the world kind of a specialty could I have? And so I was meditating. I was sort of daydreaming, let me just say, at one point. And I thought, I could guide meditations. I could do that. I could do that. And it was very early on. And of course, then I really didn't guide meditations. Back then, I'd find a nice poem to start out with, and I would read that, and then I would continue on. And it was interesting to me when, as I was progressing and feeling more comfortable, I would just do something, maybe whatever, a little reading or something. But I remember a person saying to me, I love it when your shift takes place. Because she could tell when I was going from the mental and moving into the heart, because there was a difference. There was just a difference in the sound of my voice and the energy that was coming, from me. So, but because I believe that in order to grow in awareness and consciousness, meditation is an important aspect of that. So, first section has quite a few articles on that relate to meditation. They're just articles about someone, healing quickly or healing completely, listening to the silence, things of that sort. But it does tell about meditation. So it's made for someone that might not be used to meditating, trying to understand, even trying to figure out what is meditation anyhow. So it gears a little bit to that. Doesn't take up too much of the book, but there's a few articles on that. So that is one section. And then, plus, of course, it's something that's a review for ones that have been meditating for quite a while also. Because I'll tell you, it's interesting how when we meditate, we get to a certain level of meditation, then we forget about old styles or styles you used right at the beginning. And I wanted to mention this, since I made that statement, is I remember when I had back surgery, and my pain was, they couldn't get it under control. It took 3 months really to get my pain under control. But all the while I was still attempting to meditate and so on. And finally I went to someone that was a therapist, and she also did some meditation. Of course, she knew right away that I knew more about meditation than she did because I'd been doing it for so long. I only went 2 times. But what she did for me is she had me go back to the very basics, which I totally had gotten away from. So it was relaxing my little toes, my feet, my legs. I mean, all these things that I had gotten so far away from, but I had to focus into the physical part of my body so that the body could heal better. And when you meditate a lot, you're more up here. You're not down in the physical.
Right.
And what I found over the years with my working with individuals, that many metaphysicians are focusing right up here from the heart on up.
Yeah.
And the chakras that connect you to the earth sometimes get forgotten. And I found that the energies flow very well to the heart, but then all of a sudden they stop. And we have to remember that part of ourselves too, because that's how we ground everything into the planet. And if we are always focusing on I'm going to say in a sense, the loftiness, if that's what you want to call it, meaning really the divine, the beautiful divine.
Yeah.
We tend to want to forget about the physical parts of us. So that's why I think meditation is a good thing to remember, and to remember there are different ways of meditating and for different things. So that's the one part. And the other part, I have quite a large section about Egypt, because Egypt is, that's really been my path, is Egypt. Not that I haven't studied other materials, but Egypt, when I went to Egypt, I knew I had been there before. I wouldn't even go into the pyramids, certain pyramids like the Saqqara pyramids. Everyone was climbing around. I went off to myself and I meditated in the desert by myself. And I felt like I was in heaven. It felt like heaven and earth had really come together. And at that time, the call to prayer was going on in the Nile Valley. And it did. It felt like heaven. And I was totally alone. And to me, I felt like they were giving me this gift, reminding me of my being there in other lifetimes. So I really get into the symbology of what Egypt is, that it is really a representation of us, and the chakras that in our body are the temples along the Nile.
Let's bring up the image, the picture, because I think it might be helpful for people to see that.
This is an image of Egypt. And when you look at this image, what's a little bit unusual is that in the northern hemisphere, the rivers always they run south, but the Nile runs what you might call north. And so Upper Egypt is really at the base, and Lower Egypt is at the upper part of this picture. What I find interesting is that if you flip that around and you think of Upper Egypt here, so that would represent this part of ourselves, the higher essences of ourselves, symbolically in the ancient Egyptian mystery schools. And then there's, of course, going from the heart down, that would be considered Lower Egypt. But when you flip that over, notice how when you get to what's called the Nile Delta, it's as if you are, this is the your spinal column with the fluidity of the energies flowing around it. And sitting in that lotus position and grounding the energies into the planet. The fluidity of the energies that come from the divine essences are flowing through the Nile River, washing over the chakras, our chakras in our body. And then when we get to the lower part of Egypt, it's flowing out into the sea, which is there. It's physically, it would be the Mediterranean Sea. But once it gets into the water, it becomes that water of life, and which then transverses the planet so that we become that one, and connecting higher essences with the physical essences, and becoming the whole in that manner. So there are many different symbols just with the country, but they're all within us. So like the Giza would be at the base, which would be Lower Egypt. And when you enter the Giza Plateau and study that aspect and going to the pyramids, you're actually moving into what's called the west side of the river, or the moon side. It is the dark side. It's going within. It's going into the darkness to become the light. So all of the temples that are along the west bank, and the same thing with our chakras, that would be our left side, they are the feminine chakras. They're the ones where you go in and you recognize, you learn, and you grow and become. And once you come to the highest aspect of yourself, the divine self, then you then come back into the earth, and you walk the east bank of the Nile, which is actually the outer aspects of self, bringing back into the world the gifts that you have gained and the gifts that you have received in your inner journey. So the west would be your inner journey, and then you reach the highest aspect where you've opened yourself up to the divine and allowed divine energies to come in. And then you come back out into the world, and you're walking the outer world with these new gifts that you have received in your journey. And this is something that is repeated over and over again. The ancient Egyptians, they really believed in reincarnation, and they, of course, saved all of what they had on this earthly realm so that when they came back, they would have it to continue the journey. Well, symbolically, if you go within and think of it in that manner, it's life, death, life, death. We're going up our spiral of higher ascension, and on that spiral, we're always shedding the old, taking on the new, shedding the old, and taking on the new. So it's not necessarily that this is something that we have to save and re-enter, like reincarnate in. It is something, they are called incarnations. They are another time that we are coming and learning something new and going up that spiral of higher ascension. And each one of the temples along the Nile, either whether it's pyramid or temple, they all they cover all of our chakra systems. They may focus on a certain chakra. For instance, I was saying Lower Egypt, and with the pyramid, it focuses on more the grounding of those energies, because we're sitting there and grounding the energies. But the thing of it is that they represent different parts, or the different chakras in within us, whether it be the feminine side or the masculine side. But each one of these focuses more on, for instance, if you're in the heart center area, which that school would teach more about the heart energies. But that doesn't mean you're not also getting the influence of all of the other chakras also. It's just that there's more focus on a particular chakra depending on what temple that you're at. So it's really quite interesting. I find it very, very fascinating because Egypt is really, as I said, it's a representation of you, it's a symbolic you. And this one author, Rene Schweller de la Bitz was his name. He was a French, well, he became an Egyptologist, and he took his whole family to Egypt. This was in the 30s. And he lived at Luxor, at the temple of Luxor, for 15 years and studied the ins and outs of Luxor. And he found that the temple actually represented proportionally us, like from the foyer might represent the from our foot up to our knee. It was all proportional. So one of his books is called The Temple of Man, but each one of the chakras represents us as a temple of man, but we're that reflection of then that hologram of the Milky Way galaxy and the universe and on to the divine all. So it's such a, for me, I just feel it's such a fascinating and fun journey to start thinking in a little different manner and focusing what you always thought was on the outer, and then start taking it within and really finding a different perspective, a deeper perspective of all of our life, our daily life. The outer that's here has a different meaning with your inner self. So that's, I said quite a bit about the Egyptian section. But then the third section has to do with just living the truths,
Yeah.
all year long. So those are articles taking through every month, January through December, and it has an article to do with specifically what's focused on certain months.
Well, I just want to say now, okay, audience, now you know why. Just given that little piece about the Nile River and showing you that graphic, that particular map is in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and Ortrun does a really good job at helping us understand that, because most people, we see the lower Egypt higher than the upper Egypt, and people get lost with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that peek into why you find it so fascinating and how helpful it is in our modern life today as much as it was back in the ancient times, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, in fact, I made a comment while you were sharing with us. I said, if you really appreciate this information about the Nile River, drop the words Nile River in the comments, because it's fascinating information. Fascinating. So, Ortrun, if you could share with us why Egypt? What led you to embrace that part of you that I know that you share about in the book, but why? Why Egypt?
Well, I was guided. I think the universe guided me
Mm-hmm.
to it. I didn't realize at the beginning that it would be Egypt. I've always been, I think, a little holy little kid. I like, praying and being in church, things like that. But I was going through a really hard time in my life. The first part of my life was all quite traumatic. And I had, this part of it was I had divorced and I had 3 children, so I was a single mom. And I happened to walk into a 5 and 10 store, and I walked over to the jewelry section. Why? Who knows why, but I did. I looked in there, and it was a large cross. It was a good size. It was about this size. And I looked at it and I said, "Oh, everlasting life." I'd never seen a cross like this before. But I purchased it because I thought it was interesting. It was no, I later found out it was the Ankh, the ancient Egyptian cross. But at the time, I had no clue as to what it was. It also had, and it was not a stone, but it was just some material. It looked like a piece of turquoise in the middle. So I thought, oh, okay, key of life, or I mean, everlasting life. And I wore it, and I wore it more as a jewelry statement than anything else. I didn't really wear it for anything other than that. And it wasn't until after Carl and I met, and actually we were married. And in '78, we met John Davis, who was part of the Coptic Fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked at one of their introductory brochures, and I opened the brochure, and there was that cross that I had seen 6 years before.
Mm-hmm.
And next to it, it said light ministry. And then I asked about the cross, and I was told, well, it means everlasting life. So here I got this message saying what it was. There was something that prompted me to know what this Ankh was. And so that was one clue. And then the second clue was when I saw this and it said light ministry. And of course, I was really being led into that type of energy. And then it was, I think it was that same, actually, it wasn't that same year. It was quite a few years later, probably another 6 years later. And we were at a conference, a Coptic conference, and there was John Davis was actually then doing tours to Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And he, at that particular year, we were giving a free trip to Egypt away.
Wow.
Yes. But there was also someone at the conference that was selling papyrus art. It was the first papyrus art I had ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And this beautiful papyrus art that I loved had Tutankhamun and his bride in it, and they looked so balanced. And I thought, I really want this papyrus. And Carl finally got it for him. But the reason why I wanted it is because it just looked so balanced. It looked like such a balanced relationship. And that's what I wanted in my marriage. Not that we didn't have a good relationship, but I just knew it could be better. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, later that afternoon, they did the drawing, and I won the trip to Egypt. It was just amazing that I won a trip to Egypt. Who'd think, yeah. Right? Oh my gosh. So, and we were going to go in November, but John didn't have a trip. So we were traveling with a different group. And we didn't have the extra money for it. So, I was a contract employee. I had my own business. So I just increased my hours. And I was complaining about, I'm so tired. And Carl says, well, you're the one that wants to go. And I thought, oh, okay. I said, well, if you don't want to go, well, of course he did go. But the thing is he, on a subconscious level, knew that we were going to be getting into some real learnings over there, which we did. And the relationship, the trip was very much about our relationship. But as we went over there, my mind, divine mind, started opening more. And Carl, for instance, with the Great Pyramid, I went and I knew how to monitor myself to walk up to the King's Chamber, walking up the steep incline, the Galleria. And I did that. I just went off by myself. Carl, on the other hand, he went right into the Queen's Chamber and started meditating. And so I was focusing, my learning was to be more mind. His was more heart. He said when he went into that chamber, someone knocked at his heart and said, open your heart, open your heart. So between those three things, it was like, for some reason, but it activated within me this recognition that I had been there, and I felt that way in Saqqara. I also felt that way in Tel Amarna, which is Akhenaten. Akhenaton at one. He was the first pharaoh to say that there was only one God. But so I had these recognitions. There's an inner, again, a prompting telling me somehow I was to be involved with this. And so we were very active in Coptics for many years, which was, as I said, Hamad Bey it was his writings that were really studied. But then there was a point in time where someone came to me and just said, you should be doing something else. It was just the right time. And then we moved into our own direction. That's when I moved more into, I'm going to say a different type of teaching, a little, they're not, I don't like to say higher teaching because I believe all teaching is high. It's just different teaching, but it was just a different format. And it really focused the whole attention into the mystery schools and what it represents. And I just happen to, for some reason, I'm just able to look at things and see a symbolic meaning for things that, for the hieroglyphs, for instance, and look at them and just see the different story, not just the outer story. I can see the inner story. But I keep getting things, my divine ones, my guides and masters, they're constantly giving me new ideas and thoughts and impressions and symbols. And so that's what's so exciting about the journey. Is because by doing this, if you do this yourself, well, however it is that you're meant to do your journey, I mean, so many things unfold and it just isn't boring. It's not a boring life. It's really a beautiful, exciting life. And I know, Neshi, you feel that way with your journey too.
Everything we experience is about our soul growth. Even if we deem it or call it, a lower vibration or negative thing, it really is all about our soul growth. And so I want to show a few of the comments that have been coming through. So Rob, our producer, Rob, if you could bring up some of the comments, that would be great. And this is his own comment. The idea the North is up and is a cartographer's prejudice. Well, it could be, but it tells a deeper story, right? And it really does. For me, whenever I look at a map like that about the Nile River, it shows us the duality that's here on Earth.
That's what I feel too. Is that duality? I mean, I'm just talking about the river and the chakras, but really, to me, it also, when I look at it, I can also see the inverted pyramid and the erect pyramid going upward, the masculine, feminine, intertwining and becoming that whole.
Right. Which has everything to do with the Merkaba, right?
Right.
Violet is saying, I just wanted to say I love your meditations. I have several CDs.
Thank you, Violet. It's nice to hear.
And Violet, guess what, Violet? One of the things that Ortrun and I have talked about was just before I think we actually published the print book, is my spiritual team gave me a nudge, gave me some information, and very exciting. And I mentioned it to Ortrun, is that what we're going to do is we're going to actually create a audio book of Key of Life, so that we can include the meditations right within the book itself. So it will be an MP3 kind of book, but look for it in 2021 because it gives us, I don't think I can get that done before the end of the year, but look for it in 2021. Yeah. And the other piece is that Ortrun is actually going to be doing a classwork, turning it into a workbook out of this too. So this is just the beginning, guys. More from Ortrun in the book. So
right now, I have to think about signing books.
I know. We got to get through this one piece.
Right.
In the present moment. So thank you, Violet.
Thank you, Violet.
And Bobby's here. Hey, Bobby. She says road trip with her, meaning Ortrun, to the Nile would be such a fascinating way to see that part of the world and how we are connected. Wouldn't that be, though? So, Ortrun, that's the other thing, is maybe you can organize a trip to Egypt at some.
I don't know. It'll be interesting what I'm guided to do. You never know.
Never know.
Never know.
Always a possibility.
That's right.
Yeah. So thank you, Bobby. It's good to have you in the house, Bobby. It's been a while. Tazzie's here too. Hello. And she wrote Nile River because I said if they, appreciate the information. It's a symbol. It really is. It really, really is.
Yes.
Oh, she says, I've been getting messages. Good one.
For you.
Yeah. She says, I'm not gonna lie, been scared. I'm not supposed to be. It's because I've been in the dark for 37 years, just waking up, and no, I am not crazy. I'm trying to find the truth. Good for you, finding your own truth.
That's right. And yes, I think it's wonderful. Good for you, Tazzy, that you're doing
all kinds of sense.
Yes, you do.
I'm so glad you found us here at Star Nation.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, y'all are giving so much valuable information. Thank you, love and light. You're very welcome. I'm so glad you're here with us, Tazzy.
Thanks for being here. Yes.
Yeah. So I think we're caught up with comments. So we're almost near the top of the hour, and I asked Rob if he could randomly select a couple of our audience members to win the book. And greetings from Rob. Hello, Rob.
London.
Yeah. And so, yeah, the book, they're going to be signed by Ortrun. And so it's a special that's we're running right now for an author signed book. If you'd like at a special price, it's $12.95. I think it is $12.99. I think it is. And so Rob is going to put the link up as well on where you can purchase your book at this special price, because on September 13th it goes to the retail price of $15. And so yeah. And I tell you what, I want to show the cover, and I don't know, Rob is kind of busy right now doing a random selection of winners, but I wanted to explain a little bit about the cover while we're waiting for Rob. When we were in the early stages of creating the book, and what kind of feeling did Ortrun want for the book and the book cover? And what I did was I sent her a couple of links and where I find the photographs for the magazine, for all the articles, and asked her to go through. Do you remember this? Go through and just take a look at what pictures kind of catches her eye and what she'd like to have as a cover. And one of the things that Ortrun did is she sent me two photos that she really liked. And so we purchased those photos, but Ortrun wanted it very unique.
Yeah.
What she wanted was the hand part of one of the photos with holding the Ankh and have it coming down as if it was bringing the information to the earth. Okay.
And also it pulling you up.
That's right. And so the earth photo is one photo. The hand and the Ankh is another photo. And the stars, the constellations in the background is another photo. So there's 3 different photos.
Well, and I want to mention, this bringing the ancient wisdom into the modern world. And that's also seen if you see that hand with the Ankh, because the Ankh, of course, is the ancient Egyptian cross. But then, and the hand, but if you look closely, you can see it's a little different texture. And that's actually a hieroglyph. It came off of a hieroglyph in Egypt. And it's actually, I think it was Isis holding the Ankh.
Yeah.
And they're one of the advertising pieces that you made, the one that's the postcard size. Yeah. If you look closely, you can see both hands of the goddess along with some of her body. So they had the job of pulling the section out, just the section that I wanted. That was a little tricky, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But our partners at Elm Publishing, they're our layout experts for both the magazine and the books. They took it on as they're very creative, and I call them the magical elves because you never know what they're going to come up with. And so this is one of the versions of the cover. I think we had a selection of 4 or 5 different versions, and this is the one that grabbed Ortrun and said, "This is it. This is the one." And so they did a couple of tweaks for us, and this is when that final cover came. It jumped off the screen at me, and it's like I'm so glad, so glad that they were able to do that melding of those images. Yeah,
cool. They did a beautiful job. I think I love it. I think it turned out perfectly. Oh, good. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to check with Rob because he's going to be giving me those names any minute now. And so, yeah, he has the link.
Spirit's telling me I won.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Spirit's telling me I won.
Not funny. He said, Spirit told me that he won one. Yeah, well, as in part of the executive team, I'm sure somebody's going to gift you one, so you don't have to put your name in this one. Too funny. Yeah. All right. So, Barbie, is that one of the winners?
That is how I'm displaying the winners, yes.
Okay. All right. So, Barbie, yeah, Barbie, yay. Congratulations, Barbie.
Congratulations, Barbie.
Yeah, you're going to be getting a signed book from Ortrun as a gift. And the second one, drum roll, Clara.
Nice.
Yay.
Congratulations. Yay.
Clara Weinberger is the other winner of the gift. So ladies, this is what I'll need you to do for me, okay? Is if you can send me, you can use Messenger if you want, your mailing address, okay? We need your postal address so that we can mail you the book. Ortrun will sign your book and then put it in, ship it to you. And so we'll need your postal address. If you could PM me your postal address, that would be fantastic. And we'll get that book out to you. Now, it is going to be about 3 weeks toward the end of this month. Ortrun is going to get her first shipment of books. And then what she's going to do is she's going to use the pen that I'm guessing, the pen that I gifted the contributing writers in February. I got them all a really nice ink pen, and so she can do her signature, her signing, and her little note to you. Yeah. So congratulations, Barbie and Clara, for winning a gift, a book of Ortrun's Key of Life. So, Ortrun, do you have any final words for our audience?
Well, I just really love every one of you, and I wish that you could see yourself the way that I truly see you and visualize you and I know. And that's a lot of that is because I grew from being what I felt truly after my hard things through life where things started to change for me, feeling like I was nothing. I was just a piece of dirt. I really did after divorces and things, just tragedies in my life. And growing out of that and growing more and more in the inner knowing of who it is that I am. And so I grew myself, and I grew to love myself more and more and more. And that's the way I feel about you. And you're not just this little dot. You are this amazingly beautiful, beautiful, beautiful light being. And the more you recognize it, the more you honor it, the more you acknowledge it, the more and more your aura just grows. And everyone is walking 10 feet or more, any direction around you, is tapping into your aura and is able to experience some of who it is that you are. You are divine beings of the light, of God, of the goddess. You're beautiful. Just know that's who you are.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ortrun. Yeah, got kind of misty there for a minute. It's like I was blinking. So thank you. And thank you, Ortrun, for making time for us this evening and sharing your heart's work with us, which is the Key of Life book. And I so thank you everyone for being with us this evening in the live chat, and those that will be watching by the recorded show. Thank you so much for being with us.
Did you give the address where to order the book?
Actually, both links are in the comments. Rob put them in there. There they go.
Thank you, Rob.
You visit us at our Star Nation's website to order the book, or you can go to the social media link that we're using with PayPal. That's the shorter link. you can click on that one too, and that will take you directly to purchase the book. So thank you for that, Rob. And so thank you everyone for being with us this evening. And you can catch Communications from Home again next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And until then, Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again.
And Auf Wiedersehen, that's in German.
That's right.
Till we meet again. So.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.